If you watched my first video, this is a part 2. The first one was just to give the history of the Georgia Guidestones, and this one is to give a little bit more detail to who created them and how they come about. So this is also where I'll give my personal opinion on the Georgia Guidestones. I in no way think the Georgia Guidestones were good for humanity. I don't think they were created in a good way. I don't think they're in any way representing anyone that claims to be a Christian, but that's my personal opinion. I don't think that anyone should try to play God or tell others how many people should be on this earth. I'm a firm believer, and from the South, believe that you should let God be God. And I was fully aware of the Georgia Guidestones. I've looked into back when Brad Metzler went over it. There's a lot of YouTubers I've seen cover it, and I've always been curious myself. But I've realized yesterday so many people had never heard of the Georgia Guidestones. They didn't know they existed, and if they did, they had never looked into the story behind it to understand why it was so controversial to people. And I hear the word conspirator, tinfoil hat wearer tossed around a lot, and it has been for years. There's nothing new to that. I don't find myself to be a conspirator, just someone who searches for honest truth and doesn't just go along with anything that's told to me. I look into anything that I'm curious about, and I find my answers as to common sense and following the money, usually. So, if you're one of those people, this is a perfect place for you. If you look at these things like I'm making more of it than what there is, then maybe you should look further into it because there's definitely a story behind the Guidestones. And as history has always taught us, there's a lot of times that the word conspirator or conspiracy is thrown out there that later becomes a fact. And we'll get into that on a different video. Personally, I feel that the Georgia Guidestones are concrete proof of a New World Order. It actually states exactly what they want outright, and there's nothing hidden about it. Now, the things I have studied and looked into on the Georgia Guidestones that I found interesting is that they were still a work of progress in 1986, 6 years after they were created. There was a book, Common Sense Renewed, by R.C.Christian. And he claimed the Guidestones were erected to convey ideas to others and the need to control reproduction. He also paraded abortion as the lesser evil option. And even though he claimed to be a Christian, everything that he spoke on was in opposition to just that, Christianity. And let's not forget that the United Nations actually translated his guides into multiple languages. Do not forget that in 1992, the United Nations Agenda 21 was signed. And it's a global plan, they say, to change the way we eat, live, learn, communicate, and all in order to save the environment instead of a way to gain control globally. So I wasn't surprised to see that they were very helpful in making sure this was in all languages and being a part of the Georgia Guidestones. And some of you may be aware of this and others may not, but in 2014, an engraved cube was added to the Georgia Guidestones. It was actually destroyed by the groundskeeper, and the pieces were given out to bystanders as he crushed it. And it is definitely not hard to find the video. You can actually go and watch it and see him climb up there, take the cube down. It hits the ground, and then he takes his tools and he starts smashing it up. And all the people that were standing around watching got a piece of that. So as you can tell in that corner up there, that's what he's going after. It's a small cube that was added in. So like I said, if you're interested in the original video of this cube and it being destroyed and the pieces handed out, it's not hard to find. And I had not been aware of this cube being added in 2014, so that was actually new information to me, and I was actually shocked. So I do understand the 20 and the 14 obviously is the year it was added. I'm not sure what MM stands for, or the 8, or the JAM. If anyone has any ideas on that, please let me know in the comments. I'm very curious what your thoughts are on it. But also I want to talk to you guys about a documentary. One of the best documentaries if you're curious, and if you have a Roku channel, you can watch it on there for free. And you might want to do it now because usually when something like the Georgia Guidestones disappears, it's almost like they're hiding more evidence. So I'm not really sure what is going on with the situation with those, but this is a documentary called The Dark Clouds Over Alberton. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen on this topic. And like I said, if you have Roku, you can watch it for free on there. If not, I'm sure there's several other ways you can come across it. There might be something on it on YouTube. I'm not really sure. But check it out. It's very interesting and definitely one of the best ones I've seen so far. Now, in this documentary, they track down two people that look to be R.C.Christian. Obviously, this isn't just one person that funded this, and a lot of people had wondered about Ted Turner. And this kind of ties in three people, but two mainly from this documentary. This documentary actually tracks down two people due to letters and some of the computer stuff they come across. One is Robert Merriman, who worked at a publishing company, which coincidentally is the same company that published Common Sense Renewed by R.C. Christian. And the other name was Dr. Herbert Kirsten, Kirsten, and it actually translates to Christian, so I found that very interesting that those two names together. And this doctor was a Catholic medical doctor who was passionate about birth control. So when you put these two together, it does make perfect sense as to R.C. Christian. But there is a connection to Ted Turner as well, which I can see why people were looking at him so much. And you may actually need to have your remote ready to pause this video for the next clips that are going to come up on the screen. I usually make them where they're there long enough for you to read all the way through it, but I'm a busy mom and I'm multitasking today, but wanted to get this video out. This is a few of it's actually a conversation that took place on social media, and my friend had screenshotted and sent to me, and this just ties this together even more, and it actually makes sense, and it goes right along with that documentary Dark Cloud Over Alberton. So if you get a chance to check that out, please let me know what you think. If anybody has any more information on the cube, I'd love to hear that. And also, I know it's been brought up several times, why in the world did they put the Georgia Guidestones in the middle of nowhere in Georgia, of all places? Well, when you look into that, you can find that the Samuel Albert, who was the governor of that town that it was named after, was a Grand Master Freemason. You can look into Joe Finley, who was fully involved in the Guidestones. He was also an admitted Freemason. You can look into all the people that are brought into it from this documentary and some of the screenshots that I showed you. And this is actually a theory with information that backs it up. And I'm always for a good storyline. I know some things are just always going to remain a mystery, but I really love if you have a good theory that you have a lot of evidence to back it up, or things that make sense. You know, if you throw a lot of theories at me and you can't back any of them up, it'll just lose interest. I like facts. I think everybody does. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy that documentary. I hope many of you do have a Roku where you can check that out. Let me know what you think. I can't believe that the Georgia Guidestones no longer exist. They've been talked about so much and such a huge controversy for so many years, and I think many people are glad to see that they're gone. I never cared for them. I didn't think they should have been allowed to be built, but we all have free will. We have the right to do what we choose, and I didn't do anything to destroy them, but I will say I'm glad that they no longer exist because I don't think they represent anything of good. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.